How are you doing? It is a beautiful day, isn't it? We drink something together, whatever it may be. In my case, mate, sometimes water. I like coffee too. I like tea, mate. Well, why do we get sick? Why do we end up with a symptom? What is the reason for a symptom? Actually, that question is key, because in general, we tend to look at the symptom when trying to find a solution and not at the reason for the symptom. In Humano Puente, we call healing the act of finding and repairing the reason for the symptom. And one may say, well, but the reason for the symptom from the first point of view is, well, let's see, I have intestinal problems and I just realized that I have low levels of magnesium. As an example, of course, but the reason for that is missing. Oh yes, I have low levels of magnesium because I had a study done and it says that I have a deficit of a hormone that helps process magnesium. I'm giving an example here. And the question is, and what is the reason? New study. I found out it seems that there is a gene that is the X874J that has an alteration that does not allow a hormone to be produced, which is the one that helps process the magnesium, which is the one that helps maintain the balance in my small intestine. And what is the reason? About that reason, it is on that reason that we work in Humano Puente. When that reason is found, how do we realize? Because the symptom disappears and also the person's life has been transformed. When that reason is found, the non-matter reason that caused the alterations of matter is when one says, what is happening? Why did I enter a new reality? Why did I enter a new bubble of creation? What happened? You found the reason why you had created a symptom. That's why the other videos are so important, because they are a way to understand why all the symptoms on earth exist. That is the reason why all the symptoms on earth exist. Now, and what is that reason? Look, he wants to be here. There is a line that is the perfect line of evolution, of our evolution, of what we understand as continuity. We, as a species, have to continue, and we are learning everything that happens in the same evolutionary fields that led to us having lungs today, to the fact that today we have kidneys that work in a certain way, that our skin is adapted to the exterior and not to water as it was initially. We have recorded all that, but we have recorded many more things. What happens is that in a culture and perspective of language that is only sensorial, all the non-sensorial that we inherit is not taken into account. And what do we inherit? Absolutely everything. We are a huge learning, and among the things we inherit, a very important one to take into account is the fact that we inherit the way in which the species continues at the historical level. So, in that combination between biology, emotionality, and all the patterns that we contemplate in Humano Puente, some patterns tell us that we are not going in the direction that we have to go for the species to continue in the best way. And be careful, because the human program, the human learning, is not a learning that negotiates. It will always take us to the optimal, and the optimal is that we remain as a tribe, as a school of fish, as a herd, united as a family, because that reduces the risk of the species perishing. And that, in addition, as a family we belong to a collective. That is, that we have our little house, but that our little house belongs to an ethnicity, to a tribe. This is how the unconscious minds are ordered. And the individual unconscious mind does everything to belong to the family unconscious. And the family unconscious does everything to belong to the collective unconscious. It means that in unconscious orders, the collective unconscious gives the orders to the family unconscious, and the family unconscious to the individual unconscious mind. That is the unconscious order. So I am going to do everything possible to belong to that clan. When above, in the family history, there were events that led to the separation of the clan. That is not good for the optimal. It has to be optimal. It cannot have 1 degree of deviation. Because 1 degree of deviation over time means going in the opposite direction to what we have created. A minimum degree of deviation. Keep in mind that there is unlimited time to do this. It leads to the evolution starting to go in another direction, and that brings us closer to the risk of separation and disappearance of the species. Dear Jake, calm down, look at him. So every symptom comes when at some point we are getting away from the optimal, and there are laws for that optimal, and that is what we discover with Lucrecia, and it is what we transmit in the encounters. What are the things that prevent humanity from moving in an optimal direction for the evolution and continuity of the species? It is called optimal when the lives of the members are long, when the children are not abandoned. Keep in mind that when it comes to animals, this always signifies a risk of the species disappearing. Abandoned puppies, that cannot happen. Separation, no, we are eaten by predators. Someone being frowned upon is the same as when a puppy is born with a defect and the parents abandon it. The separation of the members must be avoided. Young deaths must be avoided. A mother who has children cannot die, because if she leaves the children can perish, and they are also distributed. The family gets separated. A young father cannot die. A teenager cannot die. A child cannot die. All those conditions that are in our transgenerational, that are in our memories, and that can be found perfectly with reorixins, even if you do not have data, are the ones that below, when certain events occur, they make the unconscious mind believe that it is repeating the steps of that circumstance. And in whatever way they make the next generation avoid it. And for that all the symbology of things intervenes. For that the biological meaning of things intervenes. Not only the purpose that the iron in the blood serves, but the symbolic function of the iron in the blood. Iron transports food. Iron is the one that carries through the red blood cells and distributes food and oxygen all over the body. But iron also symbolizes war. It symbolizes battles. It symbolizes the god Mars and all that kind of symbology that, being installed in the collective unconscious, it rules each of the family orders at the unconscious level, and that family unconscious rules the individual acts because we give up ourselves to belong to it at an unconscious level. Well, given this small and wonderful clarification, we are closer to knowing the origin of the symptoms. See you next time.